All right, we're here at my tiny traveling worm bin, and the last time we were in here, we set up this migration feeding zone on this side, and that is to try and lure the worms over to this area. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to check to see how many worms we have over here, and then we are going to add more food here and a lot more moisture. And I've got a kind of a fun way to add some moisture that I'll show you, and that looks like a little piece of plastic. So if we dig in here and we see a lot of worms, we've got one right there. Now I'm not going to pick out every one, but if we see a lot of worms, then we know we've got quite a bit more time until we can harvest this and start counting. And I'm seeing a few there, and kind of lifting up from the bottom and coming up to the top is going to help to dry this out a little bit. And by adding moisture over here, I think that's going to help them kind of come over there more. Now it is pretty moist down here. Worm bins like this, which are, solid on the bottom, so a tote, that kind of thing, is going to collect moisture down on the bottom. The worm towers and the urban worm bag and even my outdoor worm bin made out of fabric pots does not retain moisture at the bottom as much because it can seep out. So we are seeing quite a few more worms. Now it has been about 2.5 weeks, so there is a chance that the worms came over, took some food, and then came back over here where they're a little bit maybe more comfortable in this moist castings, and they have some more work to do here as well. So we are seeing quite a bit. So I think at least another week of migration is going to help us to get most of them over to this side, and then we'll be able to take them out and count them to find out how many worms are in here. Now I've counted this bin several times, and each time it comes out to about 1,000 worms. So this is a 3-gallon bin. You can see how small it is, and only about a gallon of material is in here. So about 1,000 worms to a gallon of material. It's kind of how I go off of my worm counts. So let me just kind of pull over here and flatten it out a little bit, and then we're going to check on that migration feeding zone. And as expected, there are quite a few more worms over here trying to make the transition, which I'm not really helping them with too much by digging it out. But let's pull over this way and see how that feeding zone is going. Now let's talk about what we put in this feeding zone. First, we put a bunch of old bedding material into the feeding zone. Then we put down some tissue paper and half of a banana squeezed out of its peel, along with some cardboard I ripped up from a fast food sandwich container. Next, we put in some strawberries, eggshell grit, and used coffee grounds. And finally, we added a napkin on top. And I think what I'm going to do is kind of add this here so that I can lay some of this material on top and really dig through it. Now, I do have a confession I have to make. See this shredded cardboard? That was not from our travels, and we had been trying to put only stuff from our travels, and that's just because I forgot and I wanted to add a little bit more food and moisture to this zone before we checked in on it, because I wanted to try and get as many worms over here as possible. So the top is just a little bit drier, but there are still a few worms in there. And now let's really dig in here and see what we've got. Oh yeah, many more worms here. Here is that banana peel kind of in shreds. They definitely like to go up in it, and there's probably a bunch all the way through this stalk right here. Let's put that up there. Let's kind of dig under. Oh, it feels mushy. I'm thinking we've got a lot of worms. Yep, sure enough. This is going to make them so much easier to count by being bunched up here. So let me pull and place them up here. Now I'm wondering if we are going to have 1,000 worms. My feeding intervals had been a lot further spaced out, so their population may have decreased a little bit since we kind of harvested the last time. And that's all right. We'll see what the actual count is, because when I count, I even count the babies. So you really get a good estimate of what's in here. And I'm liking the moisture level at the bottom. That's very good. And oh yeah, check it out. Look at all those worms right there. This is going to be fantastic. I'm actually looking forward to the counting. I don't think the executive producer is looking forward to it as much as I am, but either way, next check-in, we are definitely going to count them, because even if 100% of them aren't over in this feeding zone, we're still going to be able to make it work. Got one on the edge there. Okay, I think we're ready to line up some more food there.
What in the world did we do this for?
Like this whole situation? Yeah, I know. This whole situation is crazy. So first we're going to just line it with some napkins. And these are fast food napkins from our trips. And this right here is some shredded, I guess it's what you get when you eat and then you get some take-home items. They had some biodegradable take-home trays that we use. So I shredded up in our 12-sheet cross-cut micro shredder. And then I soaked it in some rainwater that has mosquito dunks in it. And those mosquito dunks will help any kind of fruit flies or gnats from getting in here, and here is the food that we're going to feed. And it is pretty juicy. This is from our travels. We've got an apple. We've actually got a piece of spaghetti. Looks like we've got some cucumber peels and some strawberries and some other various veggie and fruit food scraps right there.
You got another spaghetti noodle in the bowl.
And the executive producer found another spaghetti noodle in the bowl. And then here is some coffee grounds that we saved from our trip. Now we are running low, but that's okay because we've got more trips planned. We're going to go to the dry tortugas down in the Keys, so that should be fun. And we are going to be able to take this traveling worm bin down there, and any kind of scraps that we have we'll put in here from anything we eat, and the coffee that we drink, and even the napkins that we use. So this is just some eggshell grit. Again, eggshells that we saved from our travels. And now I'll put just a little bit more of that shredded tray on top, just like that. And then now let's just cover up with all these worms. Now all that food that I put in there was previously frozen. In fact, it's been frozen for months, and that helps to break down the food at kind of the cellular level. Plants have cell walls, so water expands when it freezes, and that helps to physically break down the plant material so the microbes and the worms can get to it. And I'm just going to dump this just like that. Let's kind of pull it over and put it in its section, and I'll pull this out. Perfect. Let's make sure there's no worms on it. Whoop, got one right there. And then I'm just going to kind of mash it down. And then check out this. This is our little watering can for our bonsai and for our potted plants. And it allows you to just direct the water perfectly and lightly. And that is going to do good for this feeding. Now it has mosquito dung solution from our rain barrel inside. So again, it will help prevent fruit flies and gnats. And I'll put an Amazon affiliate link to that if you think it's something that could be useful in your garden or with your worm bin. I really do like it because it helps you control the water. And now we're just going to kind of backfill in here. I'll help those worms out. And we've expanded this area just slightly, but I think we are going to have an easier time counting the worms next time we're in here. I am kind of a little nervous about it because it takes so long, but don't worry. When we do the video, we fast forward it and just kind of bring you in when there's something remarkable to talk about. But this is looking fantastic. I'm really excited about this check-in, and hopefully we'll get in here pretty soon. I'm shooting for about a week. And when we do count them and pull them out, I'll restart this bin and show you how to do that. So the next order of business is to put this back over it, and we want to concentrate on this part right here and kind of put as much plastic over it as possible. It doesn't quite reach the edges, but that's okay. Still get some airflow down there. So I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, hit that subscribe button and give me a like. And if you want to see the video where I restart this bin previously, check out this video right here. And I'm just going to push down some of this cardboard to let it be further down for the worms to get to it. And I'm okay with that if it ends up in the castings, because in my storage, they will eventually eat it all down. So I hope you're having a great day. I hope your worm bins are doing fantastic. So happy vermicomposting, everybody. Take care now.